Welcome to the Vault with Financielle. This is a safe space where we talk all things life and money and no topics are off limits. We have a bit of a special episode for you all today as part of our Legacy Week. You might have seen in the community and across our socials that Legacy Week is a Financielle themed week where we've been encouraging you to get your life admin sorted. We're talking wills, life insurance, critical illness cover, etc. So to start off with, I'm going to be hitting you with some controversial stats that will hopefully motivate you to create or update your will, get your life insurance policy and any other legacy-related admin that you've been putting off done. So, in the UK, 56% of parents with children under 18 don't have a will. Nearly half, 47%, of blended families have not updated their wills after significant life events like divorce, remarriage, having children, or becoming a step-parent. And finally, the top reasons for women not having life insurance include it being too expensive.
I can believe that, don't you think the same?
100%. The only reason Laura and I have got a will is because we founded Financielle and we came across some really good founders of other startups that look after life insurance, and they only started the business because they had a negative experience whereby they lost a parent, they lost a best friend, and they didn't have these policies in place like life insurances and wills, and it left them in total distress, and they inspired us to take out our life insurance products. And that's why we're very passionate about it when it comes to women, because of all these gaps that you've just mentioned.
And just that point about when people are getting married, remarried, you know, the different scenarios where we don't think, what would the law do? You know, why would we walk around thinking that? And the idea that you can kind of not look at that and something were to happen, it can cause the added stress that was kind of not needed. And I think we were both like that, you know, like most people, I'd always said, I'll get round to doing my will. It's one of those things that we really tend to put off. Life gets in the way. Maybe we don't want to face the fact that we're going to be gone someday. Like, it's quite a morbid thing to say, should we do our will?
People just think they're going to jinx themselves. Like, I've heard so many people being like, oh, I'm not doing a will because the minute I write it, something's going to happen. And it's like, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that was me. I definitely felt like that. As you said, Holly, we were inspired to take out life insurance after working with a business that highlighted this massive gap. But the will thing for me was something different. So I'm going to share a story. Super hard to share as the years pass. Like I flip between if I tell this story really angry or really sad. And I'm going to go for anger because I don't want to cry on the pod. So bear with me if it takes a little bit of time. But it's a really important story. This was a blog actually, and sometimes I look at the blog and it is in the app, and sometimes I want to rewrite it and remove the reference to me and our friends because it's so difficult for myself and it's super difficult for some of my best friends that were much closer to what happened. Every time I read it though, I'm reminded how this could happen to anyone, and that, you know, this happened connected to the death of one of my friends. But in addition to her amazing legacy, as it's Legacy Week, and Legacy Week was inspired by her, her legacy also could be helping others with this story. So our friend was a loving, caring friend. She was actually an inspirational female leader in the tech space, well ahead of her time. She suddenly passed away pretty young. She was single. She had a significant estate made up of property, like the most beautiful apartment. It had this like vaulted ceiling with like a gallery that you would walk across, like you could look down. She had this beautiful little cat that would just like love roaming around and like lived the life of luxury with her. She had beautiful personal possessions such as like beautiful art, furniture, like clothes. She collected them from around the world, was an avid traveler. When she passed away, she left a loving father, a brother and sister who were, as you can imagine, just so shocked at her passing away so suddenly. And she also left behind an incredibly close group of friends who are still in shock that they'll never be able to go out to a gorgeous dinner with their friend again. It's coming up to the anniversary, which is why Legacy Week is this time of year. So she'd passed away, and there was a lot of traumatic things that led up to it. But what later transpired, that our wonderful, successful, got her shit together friend didn't have a will. Now, in the UK, the rule of intestacy means, and the rule of intestacy is the law that kicks in when someone passes away and when they don't have a will, that she'll at least be able to leave her legacy, so all her assets, all her estate, to her family. So the 3 family members, her dad, her brother, and her sister. How wrong we were. Our friend, despite being separated for 8 years, was still legally married. Her ex-husband, well, husband, her ex, but her husband as legally, who was in a long-term relationship with someone else and who'd had a baby with someone else, completely different life, stepped in to claim the entire estate. And I mean a big estate. Aside from the negative feelings around this now complete stranger claiming her entire worldly possessions, everything, leaving her family with nothing, I can't help but think that this is not what she would have wanted. That was the thing that tore us apart, especially her closest friends. She would not have wanted this. And quite frankly, the ex should have also been noble enough to think that as well. But we'll not talk about him. And I think when loved ones pass, that's the biggest thing. The feeling most of us have is wanting to know what they would have wanted. It's not about the money. It's not about the things. It's about what did they want and can we honour that? And I think this was what was most upsetting for her close friends and us. Her family had no legal right to her photographs. Never mind the financial assets that she'd worked so incredibly hard for. It was really hard to watch. Instead, a man from her past is legally able to claim everything she owned for himself. And so my friend's legacy is a combination of an amazing zest for life, outrageously extravagant food. I mean, once we went out to ceviche and I was like, this isn't cooked. And apparently it's because it's not meant to be cooked in Soho. She had a beautiful love for her adorable cat who was her absolute life and who was like a beautiful cat as well, as you can imagine. But she was just such an iconic character to have in the friendship group. Like every story would be about her. She was like the Samantha of the Sex and the City. Like there's always a story about her. There was always a tale that she would tell. Her legacy, her true legacy will be marching us around Paris to the best restaurants, speaking French, whilst we were all mute in the background, not wanting to reveal that we were actually British and getting into the best places. It'll be zooming around London in her ridiculous sports car that was so loud and I couldn't get in the back and she would just park it anywhere. But maybe an extra part of her legacy, as I said at the beginning, could be that her story made you do something. It inspired you to take action, to protect your family, but more importantly, to make sure that your wishes are extremely clear legally. So you need to do a will. You need to redo your will if you are recently married or separated. As Lucy, you shared those stats at the beginning. People don't, even if they do it, which is good enough, better than some people don't redo it. And it's not just about the property assets, but it's also about insurance policies and pensions, and also like your intended wishes for things like burial or religion. We've all heard the story about "do not bury me in my bra." Like I'm trying to make light of what is an awful situation, but do not. Oh my God,
So uncomfortable.
Exactly. Put that's going in the will. Like this is as important
Permanent
as
wedgie.
what church or not church I'm going to be in. If you do not say specifically who you wish things to transfer to upon your death, it'll follow the law. And you can't always predict what's going to happen in law. You can't predict whether a marriage is going to end, whether a new marriage is going to start. It's something that you'll just always like put off. If you're not legally married, for example, and you're without a will, your assets that you may intend to share with your partner could go to your family. Now, I know people in my life that would say, to hell, it's going to my family. Like they've got a really difficult, fractured relationship with family and they might have built a life with their partner, but they just don't happen to be married. It's the flip of the situation, but it's still as heartbreaking and still as stressful. And so, creating a will used to be a super long-winded, laborious and expensive process. You'd have to go to a solicitor's office and do it really, really detailed. And quite frankly, if you do have a significant estate or a complicated situation, you should do that. But if not, it can be really simple to do. You can head to the Financielle app, search in the blogs for Legacy Week or for wills, and you'll see lots of information about how you can do it super simply, super cost effective. And we can't change what happened to our amazing friend. The law was followed like it was a correct process. But in her memory, I feel like we decided, didn't we, Hall, with Legacy Week, we can inspire millions of people without a will to make one and to make sure their wishes are followed. So you need a will.
You hear so many horror stories. She's not unique, which is unfortunate, and unique enough in our life that it made a massive impact on Laura and their friends, but also on our Financielle community. Like, so many people were inspired by that story, and I remember so many people saying, like, I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to take out a will. But all of us will have come into some sort of situation whereby a friend or a family or a relative, or you've seen something on TV whereby you've heard a horror story about a will being not being made, and then, like Laura said, the law being followed and it going to somebody that absolutely shouldn't be. The most heartbreaking thing about that story is like the sentimental items that the family didn't even have access to. Like, in whose right mind would that ever happen? But believe me, it happens. We've known people, family, friend, the grandparents got old, confused, and their new partner of a couple of years have taken them to go and get their will changed when they were of no sound of mind. Like, you have to be on top of these things. You have to get someone you trust to look out for you as well. If you're having, health problems, health difficulties, like, you need someone. And I've got someone in my will that I trust implicitly to make sure that all my kind of wishes are followed and adhered to. And it's not necessarily the person that's going to be left with everything.
Yeah. Having multiple stakeholders that, you have executors in the UK when we do wills, but also being very clear about boundaries, family boundaries, friendship boundaries, assets, being transparent, trying to keep things simple, not trying to make it this secret thing. Like I think we talked on last week's pod about someone suddenly came into inheritance. And so you don't have to tell people they're going to be getting inheritance, but making sure enough people that would be involved at that decision-making process know. But also maybe leaning into it, embracing it. We've told loads of stories on this pod, especially because our auntie now works for a funeral company. It's very, very eye-opening. And
you
we're very
all know what my
comfortable.
funeral plans are.
Yeah, there's fireworks, there's wicker basket, not wicker caskets, not wicker basket.
Don't put me in a wicker basket. Put me in a wicker casket
In a pyjamas.
embroidered with wild flowers in
Nice.
beautiful, crisp, clean pajamas. No thong, no bra. Snacks.
Just in case.
God help me, if I'm hungry, I'm going to come back and haunt you all.
But you joke, but it's like that's the kind of thing
You
that
have
can
to have
also
humour
form
with it.
part of the will. And
Yeah.
if you have humour with it, it makes it less scary. It's really hard if you become parents. That's a really daunting thing to suddenly imagine you leaving your children. But it happens that, we will be sharing this week, especially the stories, because the stories are the things that make us take action. And so that's, if there's anything that you can go away and do as part of listening to this today, it's having that chat about, we need to get it sorted, but set a deadline. Like, don't just say we need to and it gets on the forever list, because you'll feel such peace when you do. And then diarise for a couple of years' time, get that calendar invite and just
I was going to
recheck.
say, like, it doesn't have to be a major life event to edit it. Like,
No.
Oh,
it
we
doesn't.
literally did ours. I think I did it in about 15 to 20
Really?
minutes. And I sat with my partner and did it. And we went through it together and I had a chat.
I sat with mine and he was like, what are we doing? I was like, well, what do you
Tell
want?
me.
He's like, what do you think we should
Like,
You
this
choose.
is not tea. This is not what having for tea. This is like, come life or death. What are we doing? Don't know. What are you doing?
I just do whatever you do.
Oh, it's
I
so
always
laid back.
tell Neil, like, if you die first, I will kill you. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, all right, we'll haunt you.
How is
like,
she
you
ever
go
going to book a
first.
train to London?
Literally.
Leave the house.
You are my life admin king. But I think we've touched on wills, but life insurance is also a massive part, isn't it, of this conversation, whereby women are not in the conversation when it comes to life insurance.
On that, she's told me the dilemmas are about life insurance, I think, or one of them is.
Yep.
Oh,
So-
go ahead.
Moving on to the first dilemma. I can't afford life insurance. I'm a single mum with 2 kids and I'm really starting to worry about their future if something happened to me. I know life insurance is so important, but honestly, I just can't seem to find the money for it right now. Every month, it's like a juggling act just to cover the essentials. Rent, food, bills, school stuff, it never ends. I feel so guilty for not having that safety net for my kids, but I also don't want to sacrifice their day-to-day needs. I want to make sure they're protected if anything happens to me, but I have no idea where to start or how to make it affordable. Should I cut back on other things to make room for it, or is there another solution I'm not seeing? I feel stuck.
This is not uncommon.
No, but you actually read it in your stat at the beginning, Lucy.
Yeah.
You said one of the biggest reasons that women cite for not having it is the cost, and but and this is super hard to say when people are navigating managing bills, but like there's a hierarchy of where these things lie, and like it's above Netflix and it's above the children's school trip, and it's above these emotive things that we've talked about before that are still super important. But it's that peace of mind. The interesting thing about life insurance, and she doesn't say how old she is, but the younger you are, the cheaper it is. It's this literally ticking time bomb in your head that's like, do you know that thing where you think, I think this I'm ever going to be?
Yeah.
Which freaks me out.
And then you say it again the next day and you're like, I've been saying this for 30 days now.
Yes. And like, this is the youngest that you're ever going to be with life insurance, apart from some like, extreme examples where someone may have been poorly, they may have had cancer young, and then like, they struggled to get insurance, and then later they're kind of in remission, and there's some outliers, but it's cheaper the younger you are. So it is like a ticking clock going down, which is you do a quote today, and you do one next month, and you do one next year, and you may find that all it's going to do is go up. Whereas what you can lock in a price. And so the idea with life insurance, especially when you've got children, is to think about, I always remember my nana saying, I've got enough for you to bury me. And she did have when she passed away. And enough for a party. So she took out 2 policies. But her life insurance, especially because she was of not a lot of means at all and really struggled financially for a long time, it was to make sure that there wasn't a burden. It wasn't like for children, because she absolutely, like back then, she just had absolutely no money.
Single parents for children.
Yeah, and it probably wasn't as much of a thing then either. Like people used to traditionally as well get life insurance to cover a mortgage. Like that was much more of a common thing, and it still is now. But the thing with children that you've got to think about is that first, each year, in the event of you passing away, burial costs and stuff like the funeral costs, even on a modest level, are really expensive, and it's super hard to get that covered. And so for lots of people that don't have dependents, that's like your first step of looking at what life insurance could be like. But the next level to it is for the people left behind, for dependents. Now, a dependent doesn't have to be children. It could be your partner, because at the moment, you need two people to pay for a home. Like, our single tax men and women will tell us how expensive it is to run a home on your own. But if if you're no longer here, your contribution, life insurance, can be the thing that fills that gap. And so whether it's for children, to make sure that until they are of an age where they can work and stand on their own 2 feet, especially after losing a parent, that peace of mind sum of money. The goal is for us all to not have to use life insurance, because what happens is you tend to get term life insurance, which is for a term. And so sometimes you can get cover that coincides with the end of a mortgage. But I always say, do not connect it to a mortgage, because what about everything else? Like if your mortgage is paid off, great, but you still have all the other bills.
You've got to live.
And so there's, like I said, there's loads of super helpful articles in the app. Search for life insurance, search for wills, about how you should go about thinking. But she really wants to buy peace of mind to cover the unlikely scenario that if something happened to her, the kids are sorted until they're into adulthood. For people that don't have children or that are older, there's just a different calculation to do, because it's not providing for them, and it's not meant to be a gift. It can be a gift for the wealthy. Lots of life insurances are wrapped up in trusts, which is again super important, because it can help make sure that you don't have to pay inheritance tax. But that's for the wealthy few.
Yeah.
For the vast majority of us, it's a peace of mind product that's only going to get more expensive.
So for someone who's struggling right now and basically has no room in their budget to budge, what are we saying?
You've got to squeeze other areas of the budget. Like Laura said, anything that's like a nice to have or a little bit bougie, like do you want a takeaway or do you want your children to be protected? And these are the difficult decisions that as a single parent you're going to have to make.
And get a quote.
Yeah.
I suspect, I don't know, but I think it would be between 20 and 60 quid.
Okay.
Like at the absolute extreme, the 60. And I'm talking about pure life insurance. We're not getting to the other protections, but it's not usually as expensive as you think. And sometimes, you can lower the amount. You can try different quotes. You can try, what if I got £300,000? What if I got 500? What if I got 100? They'll all come with different prices. Yeah. And so even if she's at a stage of her budget where it's really difficult, getting something is better than nothing. And I think she'll find it's not as hard. And we do this all the time. We find money in people's budgets. Like, I challenge you, come to us on Instagram. Yeah. We'll budget roast you with you.
What is this? Yeah. What is this right here?
We'll find it. Like, it's important enough to find space in the budget for it.
Isn't it funny? People get insurance for the most random shit. but they won't insure
It's like Taylor
themselves.
Swift insuring her legs.
I mean, have you seen them?
Worth it.
But do you know what I mean? Like a car, like we've got to have car insurance, got to have house insurance, got to. It's like
All these
life.
things
Oh
that
my
are
God,
like
I've got a
vital.
fact for you. I've got a fact for you. So car insurance, obviously, legally required,
Yes.
but the more expensive a car you have. So my engagement ring insurance, I hate paying the insurance for it. It's more expensive than one of my life insurance. I've got a couple.
I
One of my
believe
life
it.
insurance policies.
I believe it, and people pay that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They'll
Like, to
they'll
protect
make it-
that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I love it. Thank
like,
you.
But what is it like?
Over,
It's not- and
it's not
over a
gonna-
life.
And
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
crazy.
that selling this because it's not worth, like, it's
Do you
not
know
worth
why
loads.
I think people don't do it as well. I just think they've just the industry is just so far behind.
It's a bit stiff,
And
isn't it?
It's been positioned for years on like films and stuff as a bit of it feels scammy to some people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Or
It
like
comes
scammy,
across-
definitely for like, oh, have you got life insurance?
Yes.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Watch your back.
It's that
Yeah.
type of like the industry
Movie
hasn't
vibe.
caught up. But now there are brands out there and companies that do this so much better. But I can see from our generation or a little bit older, why it probably felt a little bit like, oh, it feels a bit scammy. Like I'll just make sure I've got savings. Do you know?
Yeah.
There's a big thing. Often, it's usually these life moments where, for example, you know, as an adult, we should have either emergency savings or a policy to help make sure that no one else has to pay for us to be buried or stuff like that. So we'll park that one. That's pretty straightforward. As we start to have children or as we start to buy a home, there's these kind of life moments that you then, like a mortgage advisor will say, like, you know, and sometimes a mortgage provider, like a bank or building society, will require that you have life insurance for the balance so that in the unfortunate event that something happens, they don't, you know, they don't have to repossess a home, they don't have to kick someone else out, that, you know, it's just paid for. So that's why they require it. So many people aren't buying homes.
Yeah,
It's so
that's true.
expensive. We're not getting married. Not everyone's having children. And if they are, they're not having it as early as before. And they're certainly not buying homes. So there's this situation where, like, yes, you have a rental home, but you still have to pay rent. So if two of you are in a rental home,
That's
but we're
so
not
true.
getting, you're
Where
not getting
there's
those
been-
moments where you
there's been
chat to people.
triggers before, like that
You would see a
trigger,
professional.
buying
Yeah,
a
if you
home,
didn't hit
triggers
it.
life
Having
insurance.
children,
Having
emotional wreck.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like triggers life insurance. There'll be so many, like you say, millennials in their apartments, not married, not having kids, got a little dog, going on holidays. If someone dies,
Yeah.
because it does happen, like this isn't a what if,
yeah,
it will
no,
happen to someone.
unfortunately.
That other partner's got to pay for
Still
the
live.
rent.
So their
the
life
bills.
during grief
Yeah.
gets turned upside down.
Yeah.
And the life, they're already grieving for losing their partner, but they'll have to move out. And very quickly, probably. Obviously, we work with lots of people that don't have emergency savings and have to build those up. And so, and when you understand, I think the point is, how many of us genuinely go to a website and check? Like I said, look at our blogs in the app and we'll walk you through how you can check the different amounts, what to think about. Because I think it's going to be cheaper for life insurance than you actually think.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
yeah, she needs to find her in the budget. She can DM us and come in and we'll have a little look at a budget with her if she needs a little bit of help. But I'd challenge her to go and quote and see.
Yeah.
And then,
Like
well, the
that.
good thing about life insurance, by the way, is it's not like your car insurance or something, or your house insurance where you kind of shop around. Once you've fixed your price in, you don't touch it.
Oh,
you
really?
really do. Yeah. So then you've done it. It's
Ours is
it's a
direct
great
debit
life
every
admin thing
month.
because you never have to do it again.
Yeah, ours is direct debit, isn't it? And we got another
policy.
as well on top because
Yeah.
we realised after working with this company that we didn't have enough.
Yeah.
We like
No, well,
underegged
we've got bigger homes. We'd
Yeah.
had more children,
Yeah.
bigger mortgages, bigger expenses, and hadn't changed the earlier policies that we
So
got.
it's
So we
cheaper
did
to
it.
go with a new provider and get a new policy, and then you kind of like add them together
Yeah.
at the time, rather than upping the original one. So that's
Yeah.
something for someone to look at as well.
But super top tip: make sure you look into trusts if you do have an amount of life insurance which is particularly high, or just anyway, speak to the provider. They've got really good help on it. Usually, it's a couple of forms. It's a really stupid thing that they should just do default, but it can help put basically a wrapper around it, and it doesn't get included for inheritance tax in the UK. All of this is UK focused, but it's the same sentiment in the US, in Ireland. We've got loads of followers.
Yeah.
People listening in Australia, everywhere. Go get a will and go quote for life insurance.
I like it. Okay. Community win. New member here. I've been following the podcast since it started and so excited to be finally part of the Financielle community. It can be so hard to talk about money with friends or family, so I'm really glad to have a safe space to share encouragement, goals, and successes with people who get it.
We get it.
So nice.
It's so nice. And so it sounds like they've been a Vault listener, but then
Yeah.
went, right, okay, I'm going to get in the app.
Mhm.
The app's where
I
it's
need
at.
more.
There, no topics really are off limits in the community.
Oh my God.
Like, so fun.
I get lost in it. Like,
Same.
I literally am like, what's in it today? And I'm like, I love people putting pictures
Someone
of themselves.
posted the other day that they had 22 sinking funds. And I commented, I said, I'm going to need a list.
Yeah,
some
can you share
inspiration,
them?
please?
Yeah. What have you got?
I liked the guy that had the Arsenal season ticket holder.
Yeah.
Sinking fund.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
It's
Is
so
it?
expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Hundreds
like
and
a sinking
hundreds.
What's a cost of?
It's
that?
like,
£1,000 to £2,000, I
Yeah.
reckon, depending on where you sit.
yeah.
I know, for football.
For football.
for like,
Yeah.
definitely an Arsenal, I can imagine. I can't remember
Well,
what his exact one was, but I have a City season ticket holder as a husband, so I'm like, every time I see that out, I'm like, that extra coffee can be drank because you're going to the City game.
I'm going to mentally even this out.
Yeah.
This is your game. No shame in my game.
I would literally be like, okay, adding it all up.
That means a massage a week.
It's a blow dry.
She doesn't need one to herself. Look at that. Did you sleep
Got on
in
strength for mine.
dressing gown cord last
No, I'm
night?
going to try that soon though.
How
With
did
my
you
new
get this
shorter hair.
look? Because we know that you sold your air wrap.
GHG rise brush.
Oh.
It's quite fun. Burned myself quite a lot of times.
Oh, selling it to me.
If you'd like to tell us your win, head to the community in the app or email it to thevault@financielle.com. Okay, time for our next dilemma. My husband won't pay for my life insurance. My husband has life insurance, which is great, but he insists I don't need it because I don't bring in an income. I'm a stay-at-home mum and he doesn't seem to realise just how much I actually do. Between raising our children, managing the house, doing all the school runs and keeping everything organised, it feels like I'm running a small business. I don't want to fight with him about it, but I'm starting to feel like he's treating my role as less valuable than his. Should I push back or insist that we both need life insurance? Or am I overthinking this?
I think before we talk about life insurance, if I saw an advert for a job that was stay-at-home mum, the salary would need to be Dubai tax-free, 6 figures, car allowance, and then even, it is so hard. She says it's like running a business.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
I have
it really
so
is.
much respect. So much respect for stay-at-home parents. Like, so much. COVID taught me so much, and it was, I am not equipped nor mentally stable to be a stay-at-home parent.
I think,
and I salute you all.
I think both of our husbands would be better stay-at-home husbands than we'd be stay-at-home dads. Like, it's way better. Just like, maybe not Neil.
This is giving red flag.
Yeah.
Was that facts?
The big Les Mis one drum, and we're like, do you hear this is giving major
We need
red
that in
flag.
the YouTube edit, guys. We need a red flag,
put a red
please.
flag.
But a big
Yeah.
one that covers all, like an AI red flag.
Oh, we hear this time and time again. And I can't decide whether this man is just ill-informed or just
Yeah.
a bit of a dick, to be honest.
Yeah, both.
I'm gonna lack of education around life insurance is
Comment.
rife and common.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep my
You're being
balanced
mindful and demure.
feminist head on.
Keeping the red flag
be like-
at the waist.
That's how it.
Just
Red
sat on
flag,
it for a minute.
half-mast.
I'm keeping it warm. Because my husband won't be, like, the dilemmas they're written very well. And I don't know if it is that where she's like, please pay for my life insurance.
No.
And he's like, no, darling, I won't. I don't think it's like that. I think he just doesn't understand.
Definitely.
So he's got life insurance because he's probably is the main breadwinner in the house.
Well, the
So
only earner, she
yeah.
says.
So if logically, correctly, he's thinking, if I go, there's no income coming into the house, so I need life insurance to protect my salary. Okay. If she passes away for whatever reason and in whatever circumstances,
What's his plan?
what's he going to do? Because you won't be able to go to work full time because you've got children that you need. She's mentioned that she's ferrying around the children here, there, and everywhere. You'll have to pay for wraparound care, of which at the moment is completely free because your wife does it.
But you might want time off work or a change of, like,
To
if you've
grieve.
just lost your partner.
Fancy it? Like, people,
You can have
it's
a week
that-
off work or 2 weeks off work and then crack on and go straight back to what sounds like, I don't know, I'm making assumptions, but it would have to be a well-paid job to have someone be able to stay at home, like a relatively well-paid one. So that's not going to be a walk in the park.
No. That I think I don't know the figures, but they've like valued a stay-at-home mum's role, like how much it would cost to replace her. And it's like in the tens and tens of thousands. It's like, I'm talking like 60,000. Like, it's not to be
I've seen it's more than that. It's the combination of the childcare, the running of the house, even if you've got cleaners and stuff, because some people have cleaners and are a stay-at-home mum, but the house maintenance, like you're constantly picking up after yourself, you're constantly tidying, the ferrying backwards and forwards, the food orders, the food cooking.
Because if you're at work, you can't split yourself in three. Like, your wife's very special. She can multitask. She's splitting herself in three. With these stay-at-home kids, like, I can go there. But that's because she's not working. You have a full-time job. People are just they just don't get it. They think they need to protect the breadwinner, whereas actually it might be the person that you don't think needs the protection that needs it more than anyone else. And it's not a personal, like, oh, I've got life insurance, like how bougie. Like, it's actually a bill. It's a necessity.
It's a flex for us. It's a financial flex, but it's not because she's like, oh, I want a car too.
Yeah.
Like,
this is protecting your children. It's protecting you. You can go back to work. You can bring in a salary so that your children are okay. Like, it's just so
and
much
listen, we talked about this in the first dilemma. The relative cost of it. Oh, so that what if something happened to her? The family had more money. Like, what's the?
So £60 a month isn't worth it.
Like, it's and it probably like I guess it would even be. Well, no, it might be less. It depends on what. It depends on if he is the breadwinner. There's a big thing. I keep saying breadwinner, but actually he's the sole earner. But if he earns a lot of money, even a small amount on her is like peace of mind. The bigger thing for them to talk about as well, though, is this massive risk of reliance on one individual earning. So if she is a stay-at-home mum and plans to be for the foreseeable, what emergency plans do this family have? So if he got poorly, never mind passed away, because I've had this before, which is like a joke. You'd be good if I died. Like, it's such a good policy.
Lucky you.
But actually, you're much more likely to get really poorly.
And have to leave work.
Work. And then what's kind of what's the catch there? And that is more expensive. It's something that we still want people to look at and go through and establish, critical illness cover or income protection. But in this scenario, they probably need a protection chat, which isn't that kind of protection. Is like,
they've already missed
too late for that protection.
Missed that chat. Kids.
But it probably is. That's how I would probably address it, rather than like, am I not valued?
Take the emotion out of it. It's more of a practical.
Says
Sorry, I know. I'm literally going to be behind
what
you
like.
No. Don't get emotional or annoyed. Be very mature and professional. I think it's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. So if it's about the numbers, i.e. like I'm the sole earner, I should have life insurance. It's like, okay, that's fine. So we'll bump you off. What's going to happen? Bump me off. What's going to happen? Just get
no emotion.
That's how
no
much
emotion.
we need.
It's just black and white. It's numbers, as you say. Just use it as numbers, not as a personal like. I really want life
again
because Sandra's got some down the road, and I would really.
No,
like it.
it's like she could pick better things to want. There's definitely as well in the app a blog about this. It might have not been updated, so we'll have a little look at it. But again, it might not be scripts to use, but it will be some of the explanation, because I think sometimes the non-emotional explanation is a little bit hard. So just showing that perspective. But as I said, it won't be a big cost to the family to do. So just for that peace of mind for a period of time, it's worth looking at. And again, we talked about this at the beginning, but re-looking at your wills and re-looking at life insurance, because if your expenses have grown and your family's grown since he got life insurance, it could be inadequate anyway. And so it's a really good time to look at it all together. So hopefully it's not a massive red flag, and it's not that he doesn't value you. This is a very typical thing to think, that you cover the main earner.
I don't think he's unique in this situation. I think a lot of families would come together and be like in agreement. Like, so I don't need life insurance. Like, we're using him as an example. Sorry, like, he might be lovely, but this is not uncommon.
No.
And he's not unique in his thinking. I genuinely don't think he's doing it from a position of like, you don't need it because I earn loads. It's like, it's an education
to help
piece.
him.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
He would
this
lose
is for
out.
you.
She's gone.
Yeah.
Literally, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's not
He
gonna.
needs to look after the children.
Yeah. Good luck.
Oh my God. He'll soon, when he thinks that through, he'll soon get a policy in place. Or I hope you work it out. But yeah, don't take it too personally, probably initially. Depends on his reaction to the chat. Come back to us if he does not react well.
And we'll arrive in convoy together.
With our red flags. That's all for this episode. The vault is now closed. Thank you for listening to the Legacy Week special this week. And we would love for you to get one of these tasks, or all, if you've not done any so far, ticked off your list. So this is your sign to not either, all. Write or update your will. Purchase or check your life insurance policy is still enough, and look into critical illness cover. Anything else for anyone wants to say today?
I think if there's anything that's overwhelmed you a little bit, I know I've signposted a few times, but we've done a lot of content on this. So come to the app, ask in the community, ask on Instagram. We've got factual stuff, we've got stories, we've got stuff because we shouldn't have to think about this thing all the time. This is why Legacy Week is, this time every year. It's the reminder and the check-in to think about these things. And if you can just allocate a little bit of time, not more than a money minute maybe, but it might be a money date night, it might just be something. You'll feel amazing after doing it. But we've got all the content and all the structure if you kind of feel a bit overwhelmed. So head to the app, ask us about it, and we'll hold your hand a little bit.
Just a quick disclaimer, The Vault is just a chat around life and money topics, and we are not giving financial advice.